Good evening, everyone, and I'd like to call to order and welcome you to our Lucan Biddulph Council meeting for Tuesday, November the 5th. I would like to acknowledge that I am an ally of Indigenous peoples. The Township of Lucan Biddulph is located on the treaty and traditional territory and ancestral lands of many Indigenous peoples and is covered by several Upper Canada treaties. We recognize and celebrate the contributions of Indigenous communities in our shared cultural heritage. Lucan Biddulph is now home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, and they have a unique relationship with the land and its resources. These peoples continue to shape the history and economy of the township. Lucan Biddulph recognizes the importance of consulting with our Indigenous neighbors in an effort to build constructive, cooperative relationships through meaningful engagement and to inform our decision-making and to build partnerships. We acknowledge historic and ongoing injustices that Indigenous peoples endure in Canada, and we affirm our commitment to honoring Indigenous voices, nations, and cultures, and to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Okay. So November marks the beginning, or it marks the recognition of the Shine a Light on Women Abuse campaign. November 15th is Wear Purple Day in support of that campaign. And I would like to ask that you put that in your calendar and wear purple on the 15th and encourage conversations with the people that you are with that day. The focus of the campaign is raising awareness not only on intimate partner violence and femicide, but it also highlights the troubling rise in human trafficking. These are troubling numbers and trends when it comes to IPV, femicide, and trafficking. And we saw this during the pandemic when resources available to women were limited. The number of high-risk women seeking shelter increased through the pandemic as home situations became more and more abusive. The ability to seek out support was compromised with partners being at home and having more control of comings and goings, as well as controlling virtual access. We had hoped that as the pandemic restriction eased, so would these trends. Sadly, this is not the case. Women are incredible creatures, and it has been well documented and studied that in the midst of crisis, women can cope quite well, balancing and managing many demands. Better, of course, with healthy supports, but we cope. As the crisis subsides, the influences of the increased stressors begin to surface, and we see the fallout on mental health and the need for ongoing support to navigate the many emotions and impacts of abuse. In Middlesex, women can be and are supported by the Women's Rural Resource Centre in Strathroy. At the WRRC in recent years, they saw a 50% increase for women's counseling programs. And in the children's counseling program that can be accessed by children and caregivers, demand has increased by 45%. WRRC offers transition support as well, and they are seeing demands on housing, legal, and one-on-one supports with community clients increasing upwards of 50%. WRRC, for the most part, runs at full capacity and is often having to refer women to other shelters outside of their home community as requests for shelter space is far above their capacity. And this is just at the Women's Rural Resource Centre in Strathroy. It is the same story across our region, our province, and our country. Middlesex County, through our social services and library departments, manage community supports through our Community Navigator program. And our Community Navigator, Josh Smith, is an expert on all the services and programs around the county and can be the first step in finding which service could be the best fit for a woman in crisis. As you all know, Josh works out of the Middlesex County Library branches, and our staff there would love to help to make a connection with Josh, if that is a more comfortable option for anyone in crisis. So what can you do? You can support the women in your life. When speaking with our provincial and federal colleagues at various, conferences that we attend, ask them what is being done to invest in the safety of women and children. Demand that of them. If you believe a woman or a girl is in an unsafe environment, speak with her. Reach out and let her know that she is not alone and that there is help. Share local resources with her and understand the complexities of being in an abusive relationship. If you believe that a woman is in immediate danger, call 911. If you are in need of support or assistance, please reach out to our community app navigator through Community Navigator at middlesex.ca. The Women's Rural Resource Centre is in Strathroy at 145 Beach Street. And to access information on resources available, please find their contact information through social networks, or you can email them at info@wrrcsa.org. If you are in crisis, always know that there are resources out there and you will always be supported. So we do not have any public meetings or planning meetings today, but we do have a delegation here this evening. And it's great to be able to welcome tonight representatives from the Lucan Area Heritage and Donnelly Museum for their annual visit. And here to deliver that is Thomas Levesque, the museum curator. So it's great to see you, Thomas, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, members of council, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much for having us. So we're here to give you another update on our year's activities and a bit of a financial picture. So in front of you will be our financial report and activity report with our fourth quarter projections. As you can see, if you do the quick math, it was unfortunately a disappointing year financially, but in terms of programming, a different story. So we put on a number of really well-received fundraising events, the top of which is probably the 50s Rock and Roll Extravaganza, which was a great night of entertainment. And we've received nothing but great feedback from everybody who was able to attend. Very proud of the effort that was put into it by the members of the Heritage Society and the support we've received from the community. And had a lot of questions about when our next one will be, and maybe sometime after a rest from all the work for the 50s. We once again held our October bus tours and were able to hold our paranormal investigations in October, both very well received with great enthusiasm and positivity. The addition of the Lucan Night Market by the CDEC was actually great for us. Gave us an opportunity to open our doors for a bit of a free sample for members of the community. We saw nearly 200 people and 7 dogs come through the museum on those nights. We handed out some $2 off coupons the second night to try and encourage people to come back, and we heard a lot of people saying they would. A lot of newcomers to Lucan, a lot of more long-term Lucanites who expressed some embarrassment about not having been at the museum before, but also being astonished with how much there actually was at the museum. I think that's a pretty common reaction to folks who visit. They don't expect as much. I know when I first started, that was my reaction. We also had the honor of hosting a family reunion for descendants of Peter Butler the First from the Wilberforce settlement. So over 50 people from Canada and the United States came to visit the museum and learn about their roots here in Lucan. Overall, we welcomed nearly 1,400 people, with visitors as far as Ireland and the Yukon. We got our first guest book signature in Inuktitut, which was cool. Despite this, attendance was down from 2023. This was expected because we usually get a bump from the Blythe Theatre Festival and the London theatres when they do Donnelly plays, and both did Donnelly plays last summer, which was great for us. But we knew that we were going to have a bit of a drop off from last year. All of our fundraisers, though they were in the black, were unfortunately not the successes we had hoped. We did the escape room again this year, and this time designed it in-house to save on the contracting costs. And even then, it still just did not garner the same interest as previous years. We also had a significant restock in our gift shop, which does happen every couple of years, which I think makes our deficit look a little worse. But it's an important fundraising tool, and we do want people to be able to commemorate their visits to Lucan. And we're still in many ways adjusting to, post-COVID world. We've heard from a lot of teachers that school buses are becoming pretty unaffordable for field trips, which is unfortunate. And a lot of people are more comfortable staying at home. And now that travel abroad is more open again, people who do like to travel are taking that option. Inflation and cost of living has obviously hurt every one of us and everybody all over. We have far less disposable income, and entertainment budgets are the first ones to go. And obviously, we can't argue that we're more important than food. We do recognize that, museums and heritage sites, they are often exist as a public service, as kind of a community investment, and they do operate at a loss a lot of the time, but this is not something we're really interested in repeating. This year was far too much. So we've been working on a few things to try and prevent this from repeating. We're developing some new fundraising events and reviving some old ones that will hopefully engage the community and provide good entertainment and help out the museum at the same time. We're looking into more effective advertising methods. I think some of what led to our fundraisers not being quite as successful is we just didn't get the advertising quite right. I know with the 50s, it was really hard to get across to newer audiences exactly what the night would entail. I think they just thought it was a concert, but for those who they had, saw that it was so much more than that. Next year's our 30th anniversary, so we're hoping to build on and engage the community in celebrating that milestone. Finally, next year, I'm going to get the virtual reality exhibit done for next season. It's going to be my primary winter project. So hopefully that will bring some more people in, since I mentioned it last year, but it's virtual reality visit to the Donnelly homestead, something that people have not been able to do for a few years now due to Mr. Saltz's health. So we hope that'll bring some folks in. And we've been working with a number of museums in the Huron Tract to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the Huron Tract Treaty, which we're going to be working on stuff between 2025 and 2027 to commemorate that. We're hoping to actually get the treaty to the museum for a period of time, which would be one of the more exciting things I've been able to be a part of. But overall, we see that the interest in history remains strong. The Donnelly story in particular stirs a lot of interest. We want to keep working to draw more people into the community. We know that it not only benefits the museum and lets us continue to preserve our local history, but it's a boon to the businesses around us and the community as a whole. So that's kind of the picture of the museum for now. Also, I guess mentioned we did elect 2 new members to the executive. One is here, Jane Corbett. Heather Parkson, unfortunately, is sick. So they are 2 of our newer members, as we are slowly but surely forcing new people to join us.
Oh, don't use the word forcing. I'm sure they all came willingly.
Enticing.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. And that's awesome. That's good. That's great to see Jane on the board. So thank you very much for that, Thomas. I would look to council for any questions on the news from the museum heritage. Councillor Regan.
Thank you, Edward. Thank you, Thomas, for that report. I'm just wondering, what kind of new fundraisers are you looking at? Do anything specific right now, or?
Yeah, we were a little hesitant to say things in public in case, but we are looking at reviving the Ukarama, which is apparently a huge success in the area. I'm from Windsor, so I'm not as familiar with it, but it's a big, pretty big event. We're also looking at bingos, which there seems to have been some demand for, and we think we can put on something that the town will like and that will benefit from long term.
Deputy Mayor Manders.
Yeah, just a comment. I mean, it obviously it's got to be tough, because when you look at the revenues, donations is never a guarantee, and it's a lot of work getting donations, which is part of our residents, obviously donation too, and then grants never guarantee. Fundraising, again, a lot of work. Gift shop, a lot of work, and it does all come back to admissions. It is too bad that that's so low. I mean, a lot could have to do with the economy and economic climate too, as well as the shows. So it's just, you had some great, obviously, fundraisers, thank goodness, and good, donations. Wages were down a little bit, but I guess, there's got to be a certain time on admissions for all that work above admissions, where people must really struggle with, is this an endless thing of volunteer hours and ask of our community to pay for it? At what point do admissions, do you step back and go, you know what? This needs to take a totally different look than maybe what we're doing. So I guess my question is, I think going forward right now is good, but that the admissions, if that continues that trend, I would think that again, everything above admissions and all that hard work, that's a disappointing trend. And there's, I assume it's not, we would just spend endless effort, money and fundraising and ask for endless money from the ratepayers regardless of admissions. I would hope that's not the case.
No, it is kind of a constant battle to try to keep admissions coming up. We raised the price a couple of years ago, and we don't really want to do that to increase our financial total. So what we really want to do is draw more people in. We're in a tougher spot. I mean, Lucan, it's not always a destination town. We'd like to try to show people how much more there is in Lucan, that you can spend a whole day here doing a bunch of different things. And that would help us out. So it's tough. It's a constant battle. We're not satisfied with, a reducing trend of visitation. But it's a matter of constantly working to try to advertise properly and draw people in and show them what there is to do here. Not just with us, but with the rest of the town, because we're a little bit out of the way. It's not like we're not in the far north or anything. We're next to London. We're between Sarnia and Toronto. So to try to let people know it's like this is a place to come see. The museum is part of it. Some of the stores are part of it. It's nice to see the Lucan local opening up and doing some good work there. And yeah, I feel like I don't have the best answer for you, but we're just kind of in the constant battle.
No, it was just a comment, and that's, I mean, like I say, you've done a lot of work, and I commend the group for that. And it's got to be tough. That's all I'm trying to say. It's got to be tough. Like it's, with that, and I do hope it was the economic climate that partially also created that. Plus, as you stated, the other shows. So it'll be interesting to see as things evolve next year. So I wish you luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Councillor Hodgins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. Thank you, Thomas, for the report, and thanks for the volunteers for being here as well. And yeah, although the financials, I know it's maybe not what you were looking for. It looks like you still had a pretty great year and had lots of great events and a lot of community engagement. So that's great how it's highlighted in the report. I just had a couple questions. I guess just overall or big picture, looking at the financial reports with the revenues of 99,000 and the expenses of 114,000. So there's a $15,000 shortfall. How is that funded? Or how do you guys make up that shortfall?
So currently we are it's going into our reserves. We've been lucky because of the work of the heritage members and their responsibility for the last 30 years. We're in a good shape financially that we can absorb a loss like this without being hurt too much. It's not something we can repeat a bunch of times. That wouldn't really work out in our favor. So right now it's just taking a chunk out of our reserves. We knew there was going to be some changes post-COVID. Government grants were far reduced, so we were very fortunate that we got a lot of help to do a lot of different things over the last couple seasons, which have helped build our reserves. We didn't think that the change post-COVID would be this drastic, but it's a matter of to try and erase that next season. It's going to be more diversity of fundraisers, putting fewer eggs in one basket to a degree, and again, like Councilman Mander said, we need to work and try to get more and more people to come visit, because the admissions are kind of the main thing. The more people that come to visit, the more we know we're doing our job and we're doing well in the community, and really, fulfilling our mandate of preserving and presenting the history of the area.
Thank you for that. And that was going to be my second question. You touched on the reserves and that would fund the shortfall. So it's good that I guess you do have some reserves in place due to some good management in the past. But I guess what's the overall status of the reserves, or can you tell us what the number is and where you stand?
Is that okay?
I didn't hear the question.
Oh.
About a reserve.
Yeah, it's asking if we can bring back.
Yeah, we do have reserve.
Yeah.
We've got, we have to repair the barn, the beam in the barn. So we've got a reserve for 10,000 for that. We've got 3,000 for, yeah, what's that
Um,
for?
So in terms of we have a GIC, which is about $20,000, and then we have after this year with the loss, we'll probably have around $63,000 left, which is getting really close to our kind of emergency line, because ideally we would have enough to, if there's ever a pandemic or something like that, or the unforeseeable happens, we have enough that we can pay the mandatory costs for a year while we, reposition ourselves. So we're getting close to our danger line there, but like I said, the excellent job that they've done in the past has put us in a position where we can absorb this year's loss and still be not right at our danger line there.
Thank you. And just, I guess, finally, very exciting that next year is your 30th anniversary. I mean, that's a huge milestone. I'm just wondering if there's any sneak peeks for any events you guys are looking at. And the last thing was just, could you tell us a bit more about the virtual reality project you're prioritizing as well?
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of sneak peeks, we don't have anything set in stone. So we've got some ideas around the anniversary of the massacre, of course. And we're gonna try to look to do some things in the summer in addition to the previously mentioned things, but we don't really have any firm plans. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself there. So the virtual reality project is something we receive funding from Fed Dev Canada Southwest, or Ontario Southwest, 2 years ago, as part of COVID recovery. They got us the equipment to basically film Rob Saltz giving us a tour of the Donnelly homestead, as he would have done back before he retired from that, using a 360 camera. Yeah. I don't know why the word camera just disappeared in my head, but so with that, we'll hope to have a station set up, and we have Meta Oculus too. So visitors will be able to sit down, put the headset on, remain seated for the safety of our equipment, but be able to look around as if they're there at the homestead, as close as they can get now without trespassing. And having that as the kind of the initial tour, it also gives us the equipment to build on that if we do want to try and develop other ways of engaging using augmented reality. There's ideas, and I've spoken with Beth Cates, who worked with the Blythe Theatre Festival and has done a lot of virtual reality theater work. And so we've been kicking around some ideas that we're kind of going to revisit next round of OTF funding as a potential option. But this will be a good start. Unfortunately, it's been delayed. But I'm hoping that it's something that will really excite people next season and give them a reason to come back and visit us again and experience something new at the museum.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, any other last comments, Councillor Regan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry, because I was going to ask about the virtual reality as well, but I'm just wondering too, with that huge history, like in Lucan Biddulph, the Donnelly story, the Wilberforce story, the farming tradition. I'm just wondering about just bringing more attention to the museum, and through the museum, a concept of things like a Heritage Day being coordinated, but that sort of idea, I mean, just make an annual sort of event. I mean, just an idea. I just thought about bringing, I mean, there's all of this history here in this community, and I'm just thinking about bringing that all together, starting small, but I mean, that's just something that could maybe bring light to it. So I didn't know, it's just a comment, just an idea. So, all right.
Yeah, I wasn't here for it, but I have seen photos of the old Heritage Days that were done, and always thought those looked very interesting. And yeah, it's something that I think potentially be good. I've wanted to reach out to Lisa about potentially doing something in October as well, since we got the coveted October weekend from the paranormal folks, and that every year those are really well attended. So trying to build something kind of a bit in there. So different ideas to try and kind of work together as a community, and put on something great that everybody will enjoy and helps out the town, helps out the museum, and
Awesome. Sounds good. Any other comments? I just on the financial report, where does the municipality's donation, where does that show up in your, in the numbers?
So that shows up under donation without tax receipt. So it would be in our donations column there.
Okay, so then last year you've got donations of 15,000. So that doesn't include the money that you get from the municipality?
So that last year, the 15,000 would have been the municipality's contribution.
I thought we gave you more in 2023, didn't we give you more than that?
This year is, I believe, the first year that we received the increased amount.
So it was just 15,000 up. Oh, I thought it was 20 for some reason. Okay, that was my error then.
No problem.
Okay, understood. So then the donations, so then you've already accounted for the 25,000 in the 2024 numbers.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Understood. And then the grants would be the like the job grants that you get for your students and things like that?
Yeah, so that would cover Canada Summer Jobs, Young Canada Works. This year and going into next year, we received an Ontario Job Creation Partnership grant. So we have actually 2 workers at the museum to help Jackie sort out our collection, she is just so incredibly happy about. And it gives us a bit of budget to help upgrade some of our equipment and put that project together.
That's great. That's good. Well, I mean, Lisa's always a good resource to, tap on the shoulder, and she's always happy to provide any support that she can, and of course, advertise. And you seem to have something going with the tours now in October, and it's good to capitalize on that. And people don't like change, so if they know that tour is happening, then they can plan accordingly. So hopefully it's something to build on, but certainly wish you the best of luck, and we'll see what next year brings. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for coming to the volunteers and all the hard work that you put into the organization. It doesn't go unnoticed, that's for sure. Okay, so with that, I would ask for a mover and a seconder that we receive the annual report for Lucan Area Heritage as presented. Councillor Regan and Councillor Hodgins. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. So move on to the minutes. You have the minutes of October 15th in front of you. And if nothing needed to be clarified or amended, I would ask for a mover and a seconder to approve those minutes as circulated. Deputy Mayor Manders and Councillor Regan. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Business arising from the minutes, nothing's been added. The branding we'll discuss later in the evening. Was there anything from the October 15th minutes that council wanted added to the business arising or any questions? Okay, on to correspondence. There's been a few items that have been pulled for discussion. The first one is a request from Villages United received on October 28th for July 14th. They, congratulations. Sherry Garrett. Oh, Sherry, I didn't realize it was Sherry. That's probably why, right? Ron, did you want to speak to this?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is the annual request that we get to support the Villages United Church summer camps. So it's basically a waiver of the rental fee for that those camps.
Okay, any questions on that? Councillor Westman?
Yeah, just clarify that the Vacation Bible Camp, they have a lot of kids. Like they engage a lot of children and provide a lot of good activities for them, a lot of fun. They are engaged in play and learning all through the entire thing. So it's a really good program for the community. It's not just members of the church's kids, it's generally around the community. People will bring their kids over for the program, and there's a lot of good healthy activity and stuff. So it's a good program. Thank you.
All right, if there's no other discussion on that, you do have a recommended motion to approve. Oh, sorry, Councillor Hodgins, sorry.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just a quick question. Just, I think financially, we're looking at around $450 for the 5 days. And just wondering if we track this in any way as a donation or just kind of keep track of that.
Catherine?
Yeah, after we get the approval from council, we show that as revenue on the Parks and Rec side, but then show as donations on out of the general budget.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so you do have a recommended motion in front of you to approve the request for a Villages United to donate the rental fees required for the Granton Pavilion in order to operate the Vacation Bible Camp. A mover and a seconder for that, please. Councillor Westman and Councillor Hodgins. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you very much. The next item that we've pulled is from the Asable Bayfield Conservation Area. Or Conservation Authority, excuse me. Ron, did you want to speak to this one?
I was wondering whether our member from the board wanted to speak to this. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. Go ahead.
No, gladly. Yeah, so we did submit a similar letter. I think UTRCA took the lead on this a little bit, but ABCA is following through with that as well. So as council may be aware, the Ministry of Natural Resources has put a freeze on permitting fees for the conservation authorities for a couple of years now. So it is lost revenue, and unfortunately, this ultimately, it trickles back to municipalities having to cover these fees. So the conservation authorities are banding together and calling on Minister Graydon Smith to lift this freeze on fees. And going through our budget recently with Asable Bayfield, I did ask the staff whether they're looking to catch up on fees when this freeze is lifted, and they would be looking to catch up for the couple of years that they have been frozen, because it's lost revenue that municipalities basically have to make up.
Okay, questions on that? So this is just to sign the attached letter. I don't think it requires a motion. I think we did do the same for Upper Thames, as Councillor Hodgins said. So would we need a verbal motion just to give direction? Pardon me?
To support.
Yeah.
Request.
Okay, so if I could get a mover and a seconder, or essentially to make a motion to support the request as presented by ABCA. Councillor Hodgins and Councillor Regan. Any other discussion? All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay. That was all that council or that staff pulled from the correspondence that we received. There were a couple items that I wondered about discussing or highlighting, and that was the letter that we received with regards to the OMPF funding. Ron, did you want to speak to that?
I think, so we got our letter recently regarding our OMPF funding for 2025. And even there, they were, decided to make sure everybody stayed exactly the same as the prior year, at least, whereas some municipalities go down. We fortunately, our contribution, we will receive more this year, $78,100 more than the last year. So it's 13.6% more. So that's good news and really help our budget for 2025.
So you've already received the allocation letter.
I've received the information, yes.
Okay, because
The
the
numbers.
letter that's in council is the one from Beth and Folly about the economic statement, about how they're looking at what they're doing with the OMPF in the future. So.
Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, to Catherine, did you want to let council know how much it is good? It is a good news story. our funding did go up. Did you want to say how much?
Yeah, so last year in 2024 was 573,400. And in 2025 will be 651,500, so increase of $78,100. So. And I've included that in the draft budget that you have on your desk.
Okay. The other one, what?
That's the good news.
Yeah, well, it's still not where it needs to be and still not where it would have been had it not been clawed back. But anyways, it looks like, the letter that's in there from Beth and Folly says that they're, over the next 2 years, they are increasing the envelope. So we'll see what that means for us in 2026 as well. The other one was, I think there's a number of resolutions with regards to the OPP funding. And of course, our OPP funding increased, or the request for funding has increased considerably. And we're not the only one, as you can see by the resolutions that have been received. And I'll just speak. I know I had an opportunity to speak with the mayor from Middlesex Center who sits on the AMO board, and it is something that she's going to take up with AMO. Perhaps maybe there might be something that they can help in their advocacy. But she was bringing it up at Middlesex Center as well, because their, of course, costs have increased as well. And I guess the idea is that we would put in a similar resolution as the neighbors. Did you want to add to that, Ron?
Yeah. Through you, Madam Mayor. If it's appropriate or council agrees, what we can do is, as staff, we can sort of formulate our own motion and have it ready for council's consideration at the next meeting, if that's okay. Because there are, like you said, Madam Mayor, there are a number of different motions from various municipalities. If we can sort of pick and choose and formulate a motion that works for us, we can present it to council for endorsement at the next meeting.
Okay, is that good? Okay. Were there any other items of correspondence that council wanted? Councillor Hodgins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No, just sorry, question just further to that OPP funding. Do we know whether we will have a representative from OPP visit our council to provide some more information about this in the near future, or will they be doing an annual report for this year?
Well, I know that Inspector Stewart has been making the rounds. I don't know whether or not a day has been confirmed with us, but he was just in Thames Center's meeting yesterday. So maybe if staff can follow up and have him. Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other conversation on that? Were there any other items of correspondence? The only one that I wondered about, and Darcy's not here, is just the one from Brockton about the streaming in the arenas. I don't know if there'd been any chatter. I know that has been something that the Parks and Rec Committee has talked about. But maybe we can put it on a note if Ron, you don't have anything, to Darcy to speak to it at the next meeting.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. I was just going to say that with this newer information, Darcy kind of is going to take a bit of a step back and have a better look at this and what can we do? Should we do it? If we want to do it, how can we do it so that we don't go offside of any legislation, privacy issues, that kind of thing. So there are municipalities that do it, and there's obviously Brockton who are choosing not to do it. So I think he's going to do his homework and bring something back for council to consider.
Okay, thank you for that. If there's no other items, then I would ask for a mover and a seconder to receive those items of correspondence for information purposes, please. Councillor Westman and Councillor Regan. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. On to committee reports. Blue Water.
I guess just one thing, Francis, as we all know, is retiring, and Ron did send an invite for there's an open house December 3rd. We do have a council meeting that day. It's, when you see it, it's from 2 till 6. So anyone that can go, please RSVP. It's just for snacks, so they know how much snacks to get. It's a cash bar, but anyways, if you do that. And the succession planning has been awesome. I will say with Francis talking to the board of directors on his plans, and then Michelle transition, job shadowing for a couple months while people were reporting to Francis, and then he's still there now, and then people are going to start reporting to Michelle the next 2 months. So it's been really a great transition, and I commend Francis for doing that. It makes the association a much better place doing it that way as opposed to just walking away. So it's been really good. So I was really glad to see that. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you for that. CEDC.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We will meet on the 27th of November, and I'll report for council at the next meeting.
Lake Huron, we meet in December. Fire boards, the Grant and Fire Board last week actually had a meeting, and we actually had representatives from the OFM, and they took us through the essentials for decision makers course. So there were a number of people on the board that hadn't taken that, and so we did that. It was a good few hours spent, and we are having a board meeting on Thursday. ABCA.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, couple documents attached there. The one I'd like to draw council's attention to would be the municipal levy budget notice from ABCA. So I did mention that at our last meeting, but the board did further deliberate budget at our October 24th Board of Directors meeting. We looked for some cost savings and landed on a budget increase of 3.93%, which equals 56,644. That's for the entire levy. So our portion, because of our the way it's structured and with our land value, our increase was a little bit more at 5.84%. So our numbers will go from, or our total levy will go from 86,000 to 91,000, so a $5,000 cost increase there. And we also had a very interesting presentation about turtles. That was really interesting. Councillor Westman would have loved it. So thank you.
It was probably a good discussion after the budget discussion. It was probably just exactly. Any questions for Councillor Hodgins on that? Okay, thank you very much for that. Parks and Recreation.
Nothing at this time, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. On to staff reports. Ron.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The first report is regarding the building and bylaw enforcement agreement. And this is actually a renewal with Middlesex Center. So the purpose is obviously to renew the existing agreement. The existing agreement is proposed to change a little bit. Council may recall that Middlesex Center now provides service to not only Lucan Biddulph, but also North Middlesex, Adelaide Metcalfe, and Southwest Middlesex. So that is quite a group. So through this agreement, I'm pretty sure I outlined the amounts in here. I believe it's 40% of the chief building official's wage, plus the wages and benefits for 2.5 inspectors, and that will be split amongst the 4 municipalities. So when it comes to the formula for how that split happens, it's our current percentage is 21.56%, and that's in accordance with Schedule B that's attached to the report. And it should be noted that the percentage will be adjusted annually based on those 3 factors, the 3 factors being permits, the assessment, and the changes in wages. So that number, our number of 21.56% is going to fluctuate from year to year as we go forward, and it's based on those 3 factors. So the also part of this agreement is the bylaw enforcement, and that's you can see the 2025 wage rate that will be charged on there. So overall, very happy with the service that we've been provided, and we, my expectation is that that service will continue to be provided at the upper end. We are very well served. The cloud permit was introduced to us through Middlesex Center, and that's been very well received. The builders love it. Everything can be done online. It's done virtually. It saves the developers a lot of time. It saves the building officials a lot of time when they're reviewing documents. They can within that program they are able, if they have questions, to quickly email out to the developers. It's a very streamlined process. So very happy with how that has rolled out. And so the impact to budget, you'll see on the top of page 2. Again, is very favorable to Lucan Biddulph. His building services cost for 2025 is projected to be 89,446.43 plus mileage, whereas the 2024 budget amount was 94,631. So again, great service, cheaper price, no arguments. Very happy with it, and that's I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thanks, Ron. Was that 94,000 for 2024? Did that include mileage, or was mileage on top of that 94,000?
I think the mileage was on top of that. I'm looking to them. Yes, my treasurer is shaking her head. So
Okay,
yes.
all right. Any questions for Ron on this report? Councillor Hodgins?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to confirm or verify whether the 89,000 or sorry, the 94,000, whichever the number is, does include the bylaw, because that's on an as needed basis. So do we have some allowance in there for that, or some amount established, or is that separate from this?
I'm going to defer that one, if I may, Madam Mayor, to the treasurer. I believe it was building only. Okay. She says yes. Building only. So we're comparing apples to apples.
Okay.
Yep.
So I guess that's a separate item to be addressed through the budget, like a different line item that we have for bylaw. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? You don't happen to have, well, maybe how much we've spent on bylaw so far? I can look in your report, your upcoming report, your budget to actual. I can do that. Okay. I'm just curious what kind of numbers. But does that bylaw number in the budget include our relationship with tenant as well? Okay. All right. Okay. At some point, maybe we can discuss that at budget. It would be neat. I'd like to see kind of the breakdown as to how much we're paying Middlesex Center and how much we're paying tenant. Any further questions on that? Sorry. Okay. Seeing none, then you have a recommended motion in front of you to receive the report from the CAO and to ratify the renewed agreement with the municipality of Middlesex Center for the provision of building and bylaw enforcement services for the term of January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Hodgins and a seconder, Councillor Westman. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, you're
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the activity report is in there, the list of meetings that I've attended. I hope I got them all. There's quite a list. It's been a while. I think it's been 2 months since my last report. So the MTO's connecting link discussion, though, that will be a very ongoing project, I guess you could say. It's going to take some time, and at the present time, the way it was left was that staff will be in touch with our Director of Public Works, Jeff, to keep this thing moving forward. So we will be continuing to monitor that. As far as the procurement goes, just a quick update on that one. Mr. Josh White and Stephen, and I'm going to butcher his last name, Herzig, from the county. They're the procurement officers. They will be coming to council the first meeting in December with a new updated bylaw that will align with all the other lower tiers in the county. So we are very much looking forward to the expertise of both Mr. White and Mr. Herzig. Herzig, I guess that's how you pronounce it. And then just a quick announcement that the HUSIF 2, the Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund, has formally been submitted. And we've had confirmation that it's been submitted. And many thanks to BM Ross, Lisa Courtney at BM Ross for doing most of the work on that one. So thank you very much. And finally, the emergency exercise was held in Lucan, I guess almost 2 weeks ago now, on Wednesday. So it was the exercise itself was basically a practice in order to set up our reception center. So our reception center is over at the Lucan Biddulph Community Memorial Center. So there wasn't a whole lot for the actual committee to do. It was more Darcy and Jeff Smale over at the community center. They did an excellent job. There's always a few things that we can improve, and certainly we will be doing that. And yeah, many thanks to the people who helped out, and I think it was an overall success.
Thank you for that. Questions for Ron? Councillor Regan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ron, just about the housing enabling water system, the application, when are we going to find out when we're getting our grant?
So through the mayor to Councillor Regan, I wish I could tell you that. You know, the best answer I can give you is it won't be, I doubt if it'll be this year.
Okay.
If it does, it'll be a great Christmas present, I hope.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm not holding my breath. It's a very well subscribed grant program.
Right.
So the good part of the HUSIF number 2 was anybody who got money in round 1 was not eligible to submit anything for round 2. So that should narrow the field quite a bit. But again, the first round was way oversubscribed. I forget how many times more applications they received than what they could approve.
Sorry, so what's the pot for the second one? Is it the same amount of money available, or?
It was not as much. It was not as much, but I don't know. I don't have the number right off the top of my head, but I can find out that out and send it to you. I want to say 400 million, but I don't hold me to that. I'd have to double check.
We remain hopeful. Thank you.
I had opportunity to sit in on the virtual briefing of the fall economic statement that the province announced last week. And there was 2 areas for municipalities, and one was the housing enabling water systems fund. However, the language that was used, you don't know if it was new money that was being announced or whether it was just the money that had already been announced. So I'm sure if it's new money, we'll be getting more information like for another round or something. But yeah, so it was a little confusing with that. Okay. Yep. Deputy Mayor.
Oh, just to clarify, Ron, on that, on a potential date, the last round, they did say midsummer. They actually said midsummer without, that's not a date. I realized, and they're about 3 weeks over. I'm just curious, so they never did state midwinter or anything. There's been no speculation on that you know of? I'm just.
Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, to the Deputy Mayor. I don't recall seeing a specific date, and I looked to my colleagues at the staff table there, Jeff or Catherine. I don't recall seeing it.
In the first one, there wasn't a specific date, but they're off by 3 weeks.
Yeah,
So
so
not too
that
bad.
might have
Yep.
made them a little nervous about giving
Yep.
any dates for the second one, but.
Gotcha, okay. Oh, and then there is, it's on your report, so obviously this is the whole idea, ask you a question in the report. Virtual meeting with solicitor regarding soccer complex. It is quite a conversation, people are concerned about that complex and how it was built and where things have gone. Can you, or you'd want to be careful commenting on that? And if you can eventually expand more on that, I think it'd be good for our residents to know what I guess exactly what the goals are there and why you're having to have that meeting.
So I have to choose my words very carefully here because it is solicitor client privilege stuff, but I think what I can say is that we continue to work towards a solution with the contractor. Obviously, there's a differing of opinion as to who's responsible for what and how to move forward, but our lawyer is assisting us as best as possible. And we've, I think I'm pretty impressed with the lawyer we have from Learners. I think he's going to be able to stick handle us to a quicker resolution. So that I'm hopeful that we will get a resolution sooner rather than later.
Great,
So
no,
as far as timelines, I'm hoping by the end of February, we'll have a resolution.
Good. Thank you.
Councillor Hodgson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With respect to the Police Services Board meeting that was held on October 30th, so we don't have anyone on our council for sharing with North Middlesex, I believe. So just wondering how we're going to get, I guess, those reports back or those meeting agendas or minutes. Will that be coming from you, Ron, or what's that look like?
I believe I will get a copy of the minutes. They'll be circulated to each municipality. So what we can do is through you, Madam Mayor, is to include it as an item of correspondence, just like we do any other set of minutes. And then if there's any specific questions, or even if when Inspector Stewart does come to the meeting, we can maybe even ask our representative or joint representative to attend as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on Ron's activity report? Okay, then I would ask for mover and a seconder to receive that for information, please. Deputy Mayor Manders and Councillor Westman. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The third one is the Green Municipal Fund application. This is it's called a partnership, but we are the very minor partner in this with the Lake Huron and Elgin Water Supply System. They are looking to apply to the FCM Green Municipal Fund, and they need a lead municipal partner. So the lead applicant is going to be the water system itself. We are considered the lead municipality. You'll notice in the attached letter from Andrew Henry at the system that there's no cost to Lucan Biddulph. There's no money involved. There's no staff time. They will look after everything. We are just sort of the municipal partner for this purpose. So the question that was raised earlier by the mayor was, does this preclude us from applying for any other FCM grants? And the answer we received back today was no, it does not. And the second question was whether we needed to be, Lucan Biddulph needed to be a member of FCM in order to be eligible for this. And again, the answer is no, we don't need to be an FCM member to apply for it. So I think it's fairly straightforward. This is with regards to the climate change and mitigation and adaptation stream for that funding application. So again, there's a memorandum of understanding that's also included in the package. So if I'm just looking for council's endorsement of the request and authorization for the mayor and clerk to sign the memorandum of understanding.
Okay, questions on that? Comments, Councillor Hodgins?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I did have that question that Ron already answered, just making sure that this wouldn't preclude us from putting our own application in for this. So I'm supportive of this completely to help out our friends at the Lake Huron Primary Water Supply System. But I would like us to look at putting an application in for this as well. I think it's important to look at climate risk assessment and climate adaptation plans. And we've talked about it a little bit with that municipal drain and, our design standards. And I think it kind of ties in with that. And I think having those plans in place can maybe open some doors for, potential funding opportunities. So I would just put that comment on the floor for staff's consideration, unless it should be in a motion.
So through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Hodgins. It's actually on my to-do list, and the mayor reminded me again today. that I need to speak to Councillor Regan and our Director of Community Services and Facilities, Darcy, because they have actually been attending the joint sort of climate change or environmental committee at, I think the meetings have been hosted by North Mid. So there's some action there. I just don't know what it is yet. So I will get an update and maybe we can get a report at a soon upcoming council meeting as to where we are with that. Because I do think I attended the initial meeting and I believe the intent of the group was to apply joint applications with a number of municipal partners seem to be looked upon more favorably when it comes to funding. So more to come.
But I would agree with Councillor Hodgins. I don't think we should lose sight of this fund and what it can do. Like if, depending on the conversation happening with the group that's being led by North Mid, I think we do need to think about, you know, how we address climate change and what's happening in Lucan Biddulph. So I wouldn't want it to get lost and just solely be put on the hands of that working group. November 29th. Yeah. So it would be great if we had more information on something for next year, for the next meeting. Okay. Were there any other questions on the greasy, the green?
That's awesome.
On the Green Municipal Fund. Any other questions? Okay, with that, then you've got the recommended motion to receive that report for information and that we support the Lake Huron and Elgin Water Area Supply Systems request to act as a partner in regards to the FCM Green Municipal Fund for funding opportunities. A mover and a seconder for that, please. Councillor Hodgins and Councillor Regan, all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, and that's it. Okay, Tina.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. We just have the 2025 council meeting scheduled to present. I won't go into too much detail about it. It does follow the last few years' precedents with the first and third Tuesday of the month. We did have to make a few alterations this year due to scheduling conflicts with conferences. And we are continuing with 2 daytime meetings, one in the spring and one in the summer. So if there are any questions, we can ask, but I think that schedule is seems to be working out okay.
Deputy Mayor Manders and then Councillor Hodgins.
So just a comment. I think way back in the day, years ago when we started this, the morning meetings was to gauge engagement of people coming to watch. That was before we obviously were having videos and or on YouTube. So I don't know where I'll sit next year on this, but I did want to make the comment. I believe now it's more changed to it, which is fine. It's a bit of a cost savings because we have the savings of staff. So now it's not a case of the engagement. It's again, it's on video. It's certainly more of a cost savings. I just, I believe that's correct. Unless someone wants to correct me. And I wanted to make a comment that I maybe would want to pivot next year to maybe just one summer daytime one, say the August 5th one in the morning, and go back to a night one in April. But just a comment, I'm fine with it now, but I wanted to lay that seed that I may ask for that, may get denied, but I'm letting you know.
Okay. Councillor Hodgins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was going to comment, so we shift between 6:30 p.m. and 6 p.m. and maybe staff can kind of remind us why we do that. I think the 6 p.m. are the ones where we have planning, so there's a bit more on the agenda, so we want to get through it sooner. But I was just thinking, or maybe it's up to, I think, everyone around the horseshoe here, and depends on availability and work commitments and such. But I was just wanted to kind of put on the floor the possibility of just going to consistently 6 o'clock meetings all the time. And, a part of that is also, I'm sure there's staff that just have to kind of wait around until or probably keep working until 6:30. And maybe it's just eases that burden a little bit, but I thought I'd put that on there. And then I tend to agree with Deputy Mayor. You know, I guess it depends on everyone's work arrangements, but sometimes the 9 a.m. meeting can be a bit challenging. And so if we're looking to go back just to one of those, I think I would be supportive of that as well.
Any other comments on the schedule? Deputy Mayor again?
So, no, I would support Jaden on, again, to me, with my work, I'm, as other people can speak, whether it be 6:30 or 6, I've got to make sure I'm not working late that night with work. So I like the idea of starting at 6, all the meetings, depending, again, so I guess staff is, we need to comment on that. I'd have no problem doing that this year with this meeting if we wanted to just not make a vote on it. But and then also I would at that time entertain certainly the April one going to a 6 p.m. and only have the Tuesday, August 5th at 9 a.m.
Sure, we can take those suggestions and amend the schedule. No problem. I think 6 o'clock for consistency wise is a great idea. If somebody wants to make that motion, we can make those changes and just include it at the next one or just send it out with the amendments.
Through Madam Mayor, I would just suggest that the motion be changed to say, and that council adopt the 2025 council meeting schedule as amended, and those amendments being the Tuesday, April the 8th meeting is no longer at 9 a.m., move that to 6 p.m. and that all the meetings start at 6 p.m. with the exception of, again, of the Tuesday, August 5th meeting at 9 a.m.
So are you making that motion then? Deputy Mayor, make that motion. And you're seconding it? Councillor Reagan. Okay, all in favor? And that's carried. I was just gonna remind everybody to highlight and put in your calendars that the January 22nd is a Wednesday meeting. It's not the Tuesday that week. So just highlight, don't show up on the 21st.
Well, you
Because you'll
can.
be waiting. Well, you can.
We'll give you reminders.
But just a reminder, that one is Wednesday because Roma is that week. Okay. But did you have anything else, Tina?
No, I don't think so.
Building and bylaw, and it looks like we have been joined by Arnie, and he's joining us virtually. So great to see you again. I saw you earlier at your mayor's breakfast this morning. So thanks for joining us tonight, and I will turn it over to you.
Great, and thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here, Mayor, and to Mayor and Council, I appreciate accepting me electronically today. I promise to be in person for our year-end reporting. I am here actually to answer an earlier question through the Mayor. Bylaw enforcement services paid to Middlesex Center through 3 quarters is $15,200. So that's after 3 quarters. Anyways, I am here tonight to present the 3rd quarter building report, and again, pleased to say it's rare that I present a report to council that has disappointing numbers. I'm pleased to say that we've really maintained last year's numbers. We have 29 new dwellings this year through 3 quarters in comparison to 28. Plus, we have a new apartment building in Lucan that's underway now. That's a 57-unit apartment building. So it's a very positive report. Other municipalities in the county, including Middlesex Center, have not had such success. So I guess as others have difficulties, Lucan has always found a way to find a silver lining through this the last couple of years with the interest rates impacting us. So in the report, I see you've got first table. We have 3 tables in the report. The first table outlines the 3rd quarter activity in comparison to the 3rd quarter of last year and some totals. In the 3rd quarter this year, it's 10 plus 8. 18 new dwellings just in the third quarter alone, 18 of the 29. So it's been a busy third quarter, and I'm pleased to say that's continued. So a little spoiler to the year end, we will definitely beat last year's numbers. So it's been a very good year, I'm happy to say. So this table does provide a breakdown of different types of permits that we issue. If there's any questions about that, I certainly welcome them. The second table is a summary of the number of permits issued this year, fees that have collected, and development charges and construction value that we've seen this year. And each of those you'll see have increased over last year as well. Well, the number of permits 95 and 97, but all in all, it's been a better year this year than last for sure. The third table is a comparator. It shows, what else has gone on across the county. As council knows, we provide inspection services for 5 municipalities in total. If you focus on Lucan Biddulph's numbers, you see compared to last year, it's been a really good year, 38 million up from 24. And the other bright star we have is North Middlesex. North Middlesex has had a great year as well. Their line, the second municipality from the bottom, they've gone up to 30 new dwellings this year from 16 at the same time last year. And that's primarily due to the success of Ailsa Craig and the subdivision they have there. And Middlesex Center, just to point out, the opposite end of that, Middlesex Center has seen 47 new dwellings this year compared to 87 last year. So things have been tough with Middlesex Center and the singles, the starts. But in speaking with the building community and what we see right now with interest rates and strategies for next year, we're looking forward to a good year next year and putting together some strong numbers like we've seen prior to the interest rates going up. So with that all said, I'm here to answer any questions that council may have.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Arnie. Appreciate that. Questions or comments on the report that's been presented to us? Okay, nothing. So we appreciate the teaser for the fourth quarter. That sounds very interesting. So we look forward to that. With that, I would ask for a mover and a seconder to receive that report for information. Councillor Regan and Councillor Hodgins, all in favor? That's carried. Thanks very much for joining us, Arnie, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, on to finance. Catherine?
Thank you. The report I have in front of you tonight is the financials as of the end of the third quarter, or September 30th, 2024. Of course, you think you should be around 75% of your budget, but of course you have to take in consideration seasonality and the timing of receiving some invoices, and also entries and items that we look at the year end. So going through, I have a summary page as well as all the details by line for your information. So as I noted, that building permit fees are tracking above budget, and that's from, you just got all the details from Arnie's report a few minutes ago. So as you remember, we budget based on that revenue line item to match the expenses with the building salaries, wage, mileage, and cloud permit, and some admin fees. So we're tracking ahead of that budget, so that's good news. And then in this report, we hadn't received the Q3 invoice from building services, so let's not include that number. But we didn't get that till October, so it's not included in the September 30th numbers. But we are tracking as budgeted. They spread that number out evenly over the quarters. Some other highlights I have in Parks and Rec. We had a strong summer at the pool and the day camp programs. I believe there may be a detailed report coming on that from the Parks and Rec in the future. Some other notes with Parks and Rec. So when we did the budget for 2024, it was difficult to predict what it would look like because we only had the new facility open for half of 2023. And of course, we added some new amenities And they're also dealing with issues. We had different issues to address and requests from residents to look at. So you'll see perhaps some unplanned spending in there just to some things that came up that we had missed at budget time that would meet the needs of our residents, such as garbage cans or general maintenance on the grounds. So that's all I really have for that. If there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer them, or you can ask me at any time. I'm here all the time. And can we meet with you whenever you would like here all the time. Any questions for Catherine? Thank you very much for that report. Catherine. Questions or clarifications on what's been presented? Deputy Mayor Manders?
So just the one at the bottom there, miscellaneous / the reasoning was advertising because of job postings. But that miscellaneous though encompasses a lot of stuff then I guess, does it? Like a lot of items?
That's correct. So in the you're in specifically the Parks and Rec area. So if you look at their detailed budget and the details, the section for called miscellaneous, and there's advertising, there's also like the craft show expenses, audit fees, insurance, office
Okay,
supplies,
got-
mileage, that
So
kind
you're
of
just
stuff.
highlighting that part of the miscellaneous of the reason. No, thank you.
Yeah, if
Gotcha
you looked
now.
at the one line item, you know it's way over budget, and that explains why that line item's way over budget.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Hey, any other questions, clarifications? Councillor Hodgins?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Catherine, for the report. It's helpful for us to see all this. Just one item, I just did a search, and it's there's an item for rent for the fitness space, and I just see it's a 0. So I think we're coming up on a year or so that we've had the new fitness space in the arena, and just wondering if that's identified here within the budget, or if that's gonna come separately through a report on that item.
You see that line item in the detail, we created a new GL account for the 2025 budget. When we had the original agreement with the fitness space, it was supposed to be a share of net profit. But that was what I understand, there's no profit to be shared at this point. So we're looking at creating a new agreement. Darcy has been in conversations with the operator and come up with a rent amount for 2025 starting in January. So that agreement's starting to come to an end. So they're working and negotiating with going that route instead. So that's why I added a line item there. It showed up because we're working on budget at the same time. So it's 0 in 2024, but in 2025 proposed budget, you'll see a number there, and there's explanations when we get to the budget talks for that.
Okay, thank you for that explanation.
That's it. Okay, any other questions? Okay, with that, thank you again, Catherine, and I would ask for a mover and a seconder to receive that report for information, please. Councillor Westman and Deputy Mayor Manders, all in favor? That's carried. Okay, planning nothing. Public Works, Jeff.
Yeah, good morning, or good morning, good evening, Madam Mayor.
That one beats
Yeah.
my slip.
Yeah, exactly. I got one report. It's a report that's been in the making for a couple of years, so I'll go through it fairly quickly. There is a snag at the end, and I'll go a little bit more over that in detail. Really what the report is about is that there's been a real push to put fiber optic in our rural areas. And so this is a follow-up to allow the utility companies to use our right of way to put that fiber optic into our road allowance. In the process of doing this, the county solicitors came together and provided a service to put together a utility agreement.
for the other municipalities or the municipalities across the province to provide comment on. They would put these comments together and prepare an agreement that, although was similar to every municipality, it also was a bit unique to each municipality in the way that the permits and the way each municipality worked. So having done that, I did do that with the county solicitor. We did run it through our own legal representative to make sure that our best interests were being looked after. That was completed in August in 2023. And that we had documentation that Northern Frontenac Telephone Corporation was in agreement of that utility agreement. And other than, I don't really have a reason why, but it never moved forward back to us from the county. It seemed to get lost in the shuffle. Having said that, in that agreement, we do have an annual fee for casual costs. We have a blanket security in the amount of $10,000. We have a one-time casual cost fee of $3,500 to cover the township's technical review of the projects. Having said all that, that's what was agreed upon in our agreement. And that's the agreement that I will be bringing forward for us to sign. The hiccup that came forward is that the attachment is not actually the agreement that was worked out at the August 23rd or 2023 time period. So I've actually contacted the county solicitor, the current county solicitor, and he's going to get to the bottom of this and make sure that the correct agreement is presented to council for signing. So that was a little bit of the hiccup. It really is a minor. Northern Frontenac really has very little fiber in our municipality. They run a large portion of it in North Middlesex and come up Richmond Street and connect into a lot of our roads on the west side. And Middlesex, I believe it's Middlesex Center, has a large portion of it, and it comes up, touches Elginfield Road and the Roman line in that area. So Quadro is still our number one utility provider in the rest of the area, but this agreement in particular is with Northern Frontenac. So I'll leave it at that. If there's any questions, I would suggest that before any signatures go on the agreement, that the agreement matches what I presented to council in this report.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any questions or comments? Councillor Hodgins.
Thanks, Madam Mayor, through you, Jeff. Just to clarify, do you know, Jeff, like where exactly? I think you said like the west side of the municipality, but do we have did they provide a map, or do we know like how many kilometers they're doing or what area it is generally?
Yeah. So generally, they have provided a map to us on their locations. So they'll be coming up Richmond and touching on McGilvery and those little stubs so they can pick up the houses just off there. So they're not going to go all the way to Corsi. They're just going to come up Richmond Street and pick up the corners of our concessions. And that'll be on the North Middlesex sort of plan. And then on the Middlesex Center plan, they come up and touch our Elginfield and go up the Roman line. We'll actually go all the way up to Richmond Street on the Roman line, which will then have multiple fiber optic in that corner. But that's just the contract that was presented to us. So those two little areas are what we're really talking about.
Okay, thanks for that. And then I was just gonna say, or put it to council, like the wording of the motion is that we approve entering into a municipal access agreement with Northern Frontenac Telephone Midwest Corp. And I think it's pretty minor changes that need to get made. So I would just, I'd be fine with moving that motion and leaving it up to staff just to make those minor corrections and get the agreement signed rather than delay it any further and have to bring it back.
And then obviously, if for whatever reason on their end, it's not the numbers that they thought, then you would bring it back then, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was the agreement that everybody was in 2023 in August. And these are the numbers that were agreed upon, and we had a copy of that agreement. So I'm confident that's what should be presented to council.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Okay, then you've got the recommended motion in front of you, and I'm supportive of going ahead and keeping it moving. And then, as I say, if anything happens, then you can bring that back. So you've got the recommended motion that we receive the report for information, and further that council approves entering into a municipal access agreement with Northern Frontenac Telephone Midwest Corporation. A mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Hodgins and Deputy Mayor Manders, all in favor? And that's carried. Did you have anything verbal, Jeff?
No, not at this time.
I should have asked you, Catherine, did you have anything else besides the report?
I did actually. Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. So I just want to let you know that we did submit a grant request for the community emergency preparedness. We did talk about that one where we didn't think we get anything our township, but then it was suggested by council to open up to the fire departments, and we did hear back from one of them and had some suggestions as well. We also are adding on we added on a couple wheelchairs as we discovered through the exercise. So just want to know that that was submitted October 31st on time, and I believe they announce recipients in February. So there's that. And then I just wanted to highlight again, the budget process where we are. We have a finance committee meeting planned for middle of next week. And the agenda has been published with the information in our first draft and memo. And I've also created a binder that for each of you to go through and provide your comments to members of the committee or staff ahead of the meeting, so we can have a good conversation. And that one's just about for the operations side of the budget at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Catherine. Appreciate that. Okay, nothing from Parks and Recreation, Economic Development.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. So the first report tonight I have before council is regarding industrial park lands that we previously discussed at the beginning of October. Council directed staff to come back with some more information before making decisions. So we have some servicing costs and some options for sale if council proceeds. I think in the initial discussions, I think I'll let Jeff discuss the servicing costs, because if we're not there, then there's no point of the other part. So I will let Jeff kind of take over for a little bit and to go over the servicing costs.
Thank you, Lisa. So when we did talk about this, council did ask for a more of a detailed number that it would cost to service these 3 lots. And so I did get an estimate that could be brought to council and we could talk about. So the total amount in the estimate is $244,192. It's broken down into road and earthworks. What that really means is we have some ditching to do to contain some of the water, stripping, moving topsoil, moving fill, and that sort of thing to get the lots ready. Sanitary sewer will be extended down Fallon. And this will go from Heenan Court down to the 3 lots, and each lot will be provided its own access to the sanitary sewer. I would say that part of this reasoning to go down Fallon is that if we're really to service the 3 lots, it has to become a public sanitary sewer line. And if we tried to go back to the existing one at the Public Works Garage, it's not designed to be public. that would be better off that to put in a fresh or a new line on Fallon. And then we could, if there was any other further development along that area, this sanitary line would be usable for both sides of the road. Then the water main, it's not a lot. The water mains there would just be a servicing to each lot. And included that. We did include $8,000 in miscellaneous costs. You just never know what we get into when we're doing this. And then yeah, and then we also include obviously a contingency if there's anything else. So it's a good plan. It's a plan that makes sure it keeps the lot to the property to the north of these three lots. It keeps that also in mind so that the stormwater will be able to use on that property as well, so that when that property is developed, the stormwater will also be handled through this same situation. We won't be putting a bunch of easements across that property to do any servicing for these lots. The servicing of this area will be contained to the outside or on Fallon. So we're not, again, we were looking at a sanitary line going diagonally across that lot, and it just would wreck that property. So I think this is a good plan. It's a reasonable price. We've done, we want to make sure that council had all the details on it, so.
So I think maybe at this point, we'll open it up to council to have a discussion on the servicing costs. If that's kind of the direction first, we can have those questions, and then maybe we'll move forward to next steps if councils has questions about servicing first.
Questions, Deputy Mayor Manders.
Jeff, it appears, certainly, it seems like a lot of caution on the servicing, for a small project, 3 lots, 40,000 contingency, 8,000 miscellaneous, 48,000. I'm not sure if the reason behind that is because of council, because us coming back potentially on selecting a number per lot and then not covering our costs. But I know people in the excavating business and different businesses, and it just, whether you're servicing by the bowling alley or you're servicing there, I mean, they don't buy these properties, I don't feel any, like I say, I was surprised at the dollar. I guess I wanted to make that comment. It seems like there is some caution there, and I don't know if it's because of council and the revenue going behind that. And I hope the number's a lot lower. I do hope that, but if what's submitted is submitted. I guess, Lisa, my one question to you is, you had mentioned that the hope was, maybe didn't catch you off guard, it caught me off guard, 284,000 pre-HST. I believe you thought there'd be consideration where one lot would pay for all the servicing. Is that what you're still thinking, or did it catch you off guard, that number? I believe you thought one, I thought, just a comment made,
Yeah, and I think,
like that's still
maybe
your,
let Jeff kind of talk about our initial numbers that we kind of thought and how that changed from then to now. So the initial numbers, we kind of thought about 150, we had a rough estimate, but then I think when we went further to get Dylan's to do a deeper dive into that, we did see those numbers come up.
okay, yeah.
Jeff can probably explain why those numbers changed if he wants to do that.
Well, I think the change of direction, I think, from Public Works, but he can comment further on it. And again, the contingency and the miscellaneous, I thought, again, for three stub lots, just seems like a lot of caution. That's all.
Yeah, I'd comment. Two things caught me, I didn't say off guard, but when you actually do a more in-depth look at this, was the change in making sure a sanitary line went down Fallon, which then you get into opening up the road on Heenan Court, which, you're into your small asphalt curb, that sort of thing, because you got to go into the middle of the road. We want to make sure that this sanitary line can be used for other developments on that stretch. So that was a little bit more than what I thought the sanitary was going to be about. I would caution, I agree, a lot of this is farmland that we're going to be digging in. So the contingency of 40,000, you're not into Main Street. You're not into an old Main Street. It's when you get, when you do get these estimates put on by, engineers and professionals, they want to make sure that there's room there in case of something like this. We've, pretty much every project has a contingency built into it. So I think that we wouldn't necessarily get into the contingency because we are dealing with virgin farmland. And then the other comment I'd have is the dirt work. One of the things I went over with the engineering company, Dillon's, on this was, I never really thought about, stripping, moving the topsoil, restocking the topsoil, re-putting the fill somewhere, and that sort of thing. We'll take a portion of the cost there. So that added to something I really didn't account for, was that moving of the dirt in the process.
Okay, no, thanks. I just, I think, again, going back to my comments before, was more wanting to see this, but it's still what someone's willing to pay for the lot. Because again, if this came in at 800,000, 500,000, to me still doesn't matter, because we need to know what someone's willing to pay for a lot. If we get 3 bids of 40,000 per lot, I'm probably not putting up my hand to proceed. I hope it is more 150 or so. Maybe it takes 2 lots to bring that all in. Obviously, we get our tax base and ideally people working there. But again, I can't stress enough, this doesn't really matter to me what this came in. What matters is, again, the revenue number, what someone's willing to pay for a lot. And if it's 40,000 a lot, again, I would have no interest in developing this. Not, it's 150,000, 200,000 a lot. I think we would. So, yeah, thank you.
Any other comments or questions on the servicing end of things? Councillor Hodgins?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, just wanted to ask about timing. So when we're talking about the servicing work and the sale, whichever method we go with, are we kind of, which one comes first? Are we gonna see what the interest is in the 3 lots first? Because what if there is, hypothetically, if there's, one large development, then I guess we might have overspent on the servicing. So can you just comment on the timing of that?
Through you, Madam Mayor, excuse me. I think what we want to do is, now we know what the cost is going to be. Hopefully that's a large estimate and it doesn't come in at that. Jeff spoke to that. So I think now is the time we go fishing, and to the deputy mayor's point, let's see what the market's willing to pay for those 3 lots. And then we can move to the next step. Is that amount of money, whether it's all 3 lots getting sold to the same person, or 3 lots going to 3 separate people? Let's see what the numbers are first, and then council can make the decision as to whether to pull the trigger and proceed forward. So that would be my suggestion.
So not do any of the servicing until you make the decision whether or not you're gonna.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. Did you have anything else, Councillor Hodgins? No.
No, not in the servicing.
Yep.
And I would say if, hopefully the interest is good, it may not be good, but at least if we end up accepting something, then that could pave the way for us to list the lots and for sale through real estate after we have somebody. Because certainly if there's no interest, I'd have no interest in developing it, none. But if we get an offer, that could stage at least a nice way to the reasoning why we're listing the lots the way we are. So.
And that does include setting up to service the parcel of land that we would be keeping ourselves, right? So, yeah, okay. All right, did you want to keep moving on, Lise?
So I guess the next steps would be, what was directed staff, come back with a couple of options for sale for the parcels. So you could still stick with the traditional, sorry, agreements, or someone comes in with an offer, purchase and sale, very traditional method. We just put it out for sale on our websites, we promote it, social media, that sort of thing, and we just kind of open it up. Or the second idea is you could do a tender process with a set date of closing. And within that tender process, you can actually set an amount, a reserve amount that, you know, council would not be willing to go under. So there's a couple of options that council could consider to move this forward. Before I think any of that really kind of happens, we do need to do a survey to get the proper legal descriptions and the proper sizes for these lots, so that we're not selling a 1 acre or 1.46 acres. So I think we need to actually determine the exact amounts of these 3 lots, the sizes. And then we can go for whatever method that council decides, whether it's traditional sale or a tender process.
Yep.
Well, again, is there not, like, again, it's not that big a parcel, it's 3 lots, can, like, rather than doing a legal survey for 5 or 10 grand, can we can't kind of have a, like, some form of like more with by than a half an acre? I know I agree with you. I mean, you can't submit it 1 acre and it'd be 1.5. I agree with you, but do we not, between what Dylan already got, what already they got paid for doing that, is there not, and Jeff yourself, I mean, you know, proportioning those lots off evenly by foot, I mean, applying just something like that before, why we'd spend 5 to 10 grand on a legal survey. Again, the tender could, you know, and going back to previous conversations, we've said the worst we've done is setting the price ourselves. And not the worst we've done, it's because we want to incentivize people to come. And that's why back day one. But since then, certainly the best price we got was the one tender. That's the best we got. The other one, which I believe was Glavin. This, I assume it's all public. I would hope it's public. I mean, he submitted to purchase. So he submitted to purchase, and we did agree to that price. Obviously, the one previous to that, I believe, was a tender, and that's the best we did. And then previous to that was to incentivize people to invest. We're not incentivizing anyone to invest in this property. So we're not looking to sell it for $30,000-$40,000 to give it away to try to get an investor in. So then, to me, again, I would, if we can't figure out, I guess, a way what we think 3 lots would look like, where staff can't do that, then they can't do that.
If I may, Madam Mayor, through you to the Deputy Mayor. I would say, yes, I totally agree with you. I don't think we need to spend the money on the survey at this point in time, but to definitively answer that, I'd have to ask the lawyer first. Is it not legal to do that? Or can we say it's roughly this, but the price will be per acre, whatever it is. So whatever the final number is, you just do the math on it. So
sorry, I see now, because that would help, I think, because whether it be, you know, if it happened to be 1.25 acres or 0.99 acres, and someone submits 150,000 for an acre, then at least it could be 160, and it could be, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. If it's possible to submit like that, again, I'd like to save us as much money as possible in case there's 1, no interest, and 2, we don't like the offer. And that's why I don't want to spend 5 to 10 grand on a legal survey. And that's my reasoning. So, but then to your point, so I can see Lisa's point that. So if that can be legally done, then that'd be great. Yeah.
Okay, any other comments?
Sorry, so I'm hoping, like, I don't want to delay this anymore, like myself, like I would love to get, like, again, if I have the support of council, I mean, I'd make the motion to have staff clarify the the reasoning behind it, and that, you know, certainly I wouldn't think there'd be a swing of a half an acre on the 3 plots. I would think it'd be 0.1012. So to submit a price per acre, and that's what we would ask for, and it could, in the ranges, and whichever one they would want, and really push that out, because again, I don't think many people know that this is back on the market, and through our social media, through Carefin, however you normally would do it. And we, you know, in enough days, whether that be 30 days, I'd like to have it done this year in case someone strategically is doing anything with accounting too. You never know. They want to purchase it. But just that, yeah, so.
So through you, Madam Mayor, I totally agree. I think that's exactly what we're looking for. We want the nod of the head of council as to the division of the lands roughly as it appears on that map. So the the township retains the larger parcel for future expansion purposes, be that a combination fire hall, EMS building, expansion to the public works, whatever. And then those 3 lots along the bottom, I'm fairly certain we can do that without a formal survey. We've done it. I think we've done it before. Tina. The wording, we just got to get the wording right. And then once the wording's there, the per acre price is the per acre price, and then get it out there, advertise the heck out of it and get it back.
So
I just want to clarify that the land that we're going to keep, we do not have a use for it at this point. It would be for some sort of future growth, depending on what that looks like, but there is no plan for anything yet. Just want to make sure that we're clear on that.
Sorry.
Yeah, Lisa?
So yeah, like Ron said, like that's kind of how the Glavin purchase came about. There wasn't a survey first. We basically knew, yeah, it's going to be plus or minus 6 acres, and then we'll figure out the details. But the offer kind of came in not knowing exactly how much that would be. It was definitely a plus or minus 6. And then he came in with that offer. Then we firmed up, you know, got all the details after that. So we can still proceed in that same sort of manner. So I guess the next step is, like Ron said, okay, so we like this concept, this plan. So the next steps would be what manner would you like these to be sold, and from what Deputy Mayor was kind of leaning towards, more of a traditional sale, promote it, get things going, and then we can reevaluate after.
I was more tender. I was more,
Oh,
I was more
tender?
tender. Yeah, I was
Okay.
more, again, that's what I mean. Like the highest we've gotten from anything was it through a tender. That's the highest we've gotten. Second one was by negotiating, obviously. And then
Yeah.
the lowest was when we were incentivizing people. So no, I would like to try to, you know, give a 30 days and submit offers for the property.
Okay.
And then with an understanding of, you know, that the give our staff enough time to have them service, so that we're not in any issue, whether it be 6 months out for servicing or earlier for closing, however you want. Again, you got to look into that. And again, Jeff, well, I guess can maybe comment and say not a chance, I guess, depending on, you know, on some of that work, if it can be, again, assisted by a dump truck or our guys, if we can assist in any of that work, or eliminate some of that work, maybe that'd be nice, but if we can't, we can't. But on the servicing.
I was just gonna make one more comment if I can. Staff is gonna have to work on the wording to bidders so that they understand that they're still gonna be required to build a building within the 2 years, the same as all the other ones have been told to do. Plus the fact that just because you have the highest bid doesn't necessarily mean that's what that the council will accept that. I mean, there's a number of factors. What are they gonna build? What kind of industry are they gonna build on there? How many people are they going to employ? All those factors need to be sort of communicated properly to the bidders. So that we got to do some work on the package, the information package.
But like you've done in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe you did that exact in the past, which is awesome. Yeah, which is great. Kind of an understanding that it's, yeah, regardless of the bid, high or low, it's not guaranteed. And obviously the start of the 2 years starts when they take possession, obviously. So, yeah.
Through you, Madam Mayor. So I guess the other question is, does council want to put it in or leave it open? Do you want to put in a reserve amount into those tenders? So you won't go anything under, or do you want to leave it open and just kind of see what comes in? Perfect.
Did you have your hand up, Councillor Hodgins?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I just had a question. If we were going to go with the sale by tender option, how would that work with the 3 lots? Are we talking about putting one up for tender at a time? Or would there be some strategy there? Or would it be all 3 go out at once? And have like the same closing date and time? Has there been any thought put to that?
If I may, through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Hodges, I think in my mind, I think we put all 3 out there. The ultimate decision is still in council's hands, whether you want to accept, reject, extend, whatever. I mean, all the options are still in council's authority to do whatever they want. So I would suggest we put all 3 of them out there and see what we get. Go from there.
To Jaden's point, maybe it's a good point, like maybe it could be in there that it doesn't matter that I want one parcel and this is my submission. If there's no other submissions, I would like to select, but to your point, then you can at least even vary it that much if we wanted to, that in case someone bid on the closest one to the corner, that might be the most lucrative one. And then a couple bids on that, or somebody might bid on that. And then if they wanted to, but they didn't really care which one, then they could also put that in because, yeah. Yeah, but I like the idea of all three, and then if someone buys all, I want to submit for all 3 and it's 150,000 an acre and it's $450,000 for the parcel. I like that, having all 3. So they're bidding each parcel or 3.5 acre, or 150,000 an acre. And they would like to submit a bid for all 3, 2, 1, or it doesn't matter which one.
Right. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, just one other question. Thank you. Through you. I was just wondering if we have engaged with the county's economic development just to kind of get some assistance or guidance. Maybe they've dealt with this in the past and might have some, best practices or experience with how to best deal with this. Have we, as staff, had the opportunity to do that yet, or will we still be looking at doing that?
That's a good question. I know, like, we did do one lot that was a tender a number of years ago. So we do have experience, maybe not on multiple lots, but Lisa, are you planning on working with the?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Through you, Madam Mayor. Just was waiting kind of on this process to kind of see where we were heading. But we will definitely connect with the county on couple of fronts, because they have the procurement person now, that as well, and then the economic development department as well. So we'll touch bases with both of those departments.
Right. Any other questions? So the motion in front of us does require I think some direction. Yes. Yep.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think the first section is fine. I think council, I'm sort of gathering from around the horseshoe here that all the members of our council are okay with splitting or the division of the property as per the diagram in Lisa's report. So that's the first section. The second section could be amended to say and further that council approve option number 2, sale by tender, for the preferred method of sale for the remaining 3 lots. Okay.
And I really like this because again, if we don't, this could help us set a parameter, which I always think is hard to on a value, because if we don't, I'm not excited about potentially even selling it as opposed to potentially we end up listing it with realistic, because we don't. And it's, I don't even know what number to throw out there. We throw, 90,000 and to me, there's not a chance even at 90, but then I think there's a chance, we'd list it with real estate at 150 or 175 a lot and just see the economic climate. So I think this will help gauge it. Again, we do have history of 3 different ways selling. So what we're selecting is our most successful, and that's why I like that. So.
Thank you for that. Any further discussion? Okay, so the recommended motion is that council approve the division of the balance of the industrial park phase 1 lands, being approximately 6 acres, into 4 parcels, with the township retaining the large northerly lot of approximately 3 acres for future expansion, and the remaining 3 lots fronting onto Fallon Drive to be put up for sale. And further, that council approve option 2 as the preferred method of sale for the remaining 3 lots. And there's enough, I think, direction with the conversation about timelines and moving on it. Councillor Hodgins?
I was just gonna mention or say, maybe we just say sale by tender, just because option 2 does say as well, minimum tender amount would be included in the tender, and I think we talked about not doing that. So I was maybe suggesting to amend the motion just to say sale by tender.
To approve sale by tender?
Yeah.
All right, so then we'll then change that and further that council approve sale by tender as the preferred method of sale for the remaining 3 lots. Okay. All right, then a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Regan and Deputy Mayor Manders. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay. And then the logo.
For starting some logo development for the township. So we went back, we got a bunch of revisions. We had 46 different types of logos to kind of work through. Got a couple of opinions from council, so we put together one day. Went through all of these and have some couple narrowed down. I'm hoping that resonate with council. Oh, my apologies. Oh, sorry, all of that. Oh, here I was talking away. I'll start again. Thank you through Madam Mayor. So previous to a meeting earlier this year, we talked about some logo development, some branding for the municipality. We went back and had a number of revisions, a number of possibilities, over 30. I met with a couple council members to kind of narrow some options down. I hope a couple of these resonates with council, a couple that you may see something in here that you like, or some adaptations of these. So I'm just going to get right into it for now, and then we can discuss what these sort of look like. A couple of different options than what we had last time. They're very circular. These ones are a bit different, somewhat similar to the county in North Middlesex, where you see the wording and a smaller type of design. So this would be the concept number 1. Obviously has Lucan Biddulph. The recommendation from staff probably is not to put township up, but just Lucan Biddulph in a logo design. You can see the company provided a few ways you can incorporate these logos and how they look when you change them to black and white, or when you see them in different spots. So the greens, they have kind of representing community, agricultural history. So you kind of see where those different greens come in and how they reflect our community. And then we've shown a couple spots where you would see the logo show up on the website, social media, and how that could be utilized in different formats. So you can see it there again. Like I said, we probably remove township of. That's what we recommend. This is just a little different variation from the first one. hardly noticeable. And again, different ways you can see the logo represented in black and white and just singular options. So, and then this would be concept number 2. I will say up front, although it is a difference in the font, unfortunately, the firm couldn't adjust that quickly enough for us. We would recommend that the Biddulph be increased in size, or the two Lucan Biddulph would be more balanced. It would never be the same because obviously Biddulph is longer, but it wouldn't be such a difference that you would see. That's kind of what we would recommend. A bit more balancing of Lucan Biddulph in the potential logo concept presented. You still see the kind of the green, I would say swipes, and you can use those same, an option is as well to use the 3 different colors of green like they had before, representing the 3 parts of our municipality, the community, agriculture, etc. Again, removing probably township. They've kind of showed a different way you could use I'm gonna just call them swooshes. And here you can see how it would be applied on a website and social media. That's what it could look like against a building. Again, remembering that Lucan Biddulph will be more balanced. It won't look so big, Lucan and small Biddulph. We just want to make sure it's a little more even if we did move forward on that concept. And then finally, you kind of see how this would look against, website or some designs or some social media posts, and how Lucan Biddulph, that logo could possibly look. So that's kind of the 2 latest concepts we're presenting to council. Like I said, much different than the first 2 or first 3. They were circular. These have a little more modern, cleaner, I think, look. And yes, just presenting to council for discussion.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Yes, very different. But I will be open and upfront. These are, I think, my favorite ones out of the gamut that they provided. Comments, discussion from council.
I just like at home, I got no input on something like this. So I like both of them. I'm not gonna try to lean on anyone either way. I mean, I think both look good. I like this better than the last ones, but I'm not the guy to ask. So,
Councillor Regan.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I might be the guy to ask. So, I know we sat through a whole bunch of these a couple of weeks ago. So the one that when I was going through that, I like these a lot better. The ones that we saw before looked a little bit cartoony to me. This one's the one, option 2, I think, or concept 2, was the one that I was sort of fixed on. I just thought it looked very clean. It was very neat. Again, you're going to balance out Lucan, but you're going to balance those out a little bit. But I just thought the adaptation and the way you can use it. And if you go through the slides, just in the different formats that we can use that, even in black and white, and be using it. It's like on all kinds of things. I just thought it was a lot cleaner. And I gotta be honest with you, it's sort of, to me, it's sort of reflective of this council because we're rather progressive. And I just thought it was progressive. It was modern. And I don't know. Can I say it spoke to me, I guess? So, right.
Yes, you
But
can.
I'm just doing this now because like you, I don't have any say at home. So I'll admit.
Any other
Thank you.
comments? Councillor Westman and then Councillor Hodgins.
I'm sure somebody's gonna ask, so I'm gonna ask the question. This is not intended to replace our beaver and shamrock, is it?
No, this is more of, I mean, Lisa can speak to it, but you'll see that if other municipalities don't necessarily use their official seal in, the, I don't know, like the marketing of your community. And case in point, today, we were at the, Middlesex Center's, mayor's breakfast and the podium. So the podium where, you know, the mayor did her address from. So they have, you know, Middlesex Center with the logo of the three chiefs, right? Not the official Middlesex Center, Middlesex. So it's more for branding, right? So that's what you can.
Something official like that would be cool. Like, I mean, would be that. I mean, wouldn't-
Yeah, something official like that.
To follow up, yeah, I'm just asking because I know somebody, you know, there's gonna be some people asking what's going on, are we losing our official? And I know the answer, but I just wanted to ask the question to get the conversation out there.
Did you have anything to add to that, Lisa?
Yes, I think, sorry, apologies. So here. Yeah, I think when you do, if you look around, let's just take Middlesex Center as a example. You know, it's on their trucks, it's on their signs for their parks, like the Hub Ilderton Park, and it'll be the swoosh. It's on their water tower. It's on more branding stuff, like the mayor had pointed out. Obviously, the corporate logo stays. Like all municipalities still all have their corporate logos for definitely for formal functions, bylaws, those sort of things. But this is definitely something you'd see kind of on, like I said, on the trucks or the website or social media, newsletters, those sort of things on our clothing attire. You know, different, the branding, I guess, part of it. We'll always have our corporate logo at the end of the day. It is, you know, it is our corporate logo. This is exactly just for branding purposes.
Councillor Hodgins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I will give my opinion. I don't like concept 2. I like concept 1, so. Yeah, so if you go to maybe page 8, it shows that kind of concept 1. Well, yeah, I sort of like that one, you know, I think it's simple. You know, we've got the sort of the shamrock with those 3 clovers there. It's got Lucan and Biddulph, kind of both. It's I just think it's simple and clean, and I guess one thing, if you go over a couple more slides, the 11th slide, it starts to look a little bit like the City of London logo there with the top right, which, you know, maybe we avoid that one. But I just think it's simple, it's nice. Concept 2, you know, I don't know, like I don't really like the looks of it, and you know, the L's, I don't know what's going on there, and I just wonder if, like, it's, you know, is that even gonna meet accessibility with, like, you know, it's kind of pushing it a bit. So that's my opinion on it, and I like how there is some kind of, you know, the community agriculture history with the 3 clovers, and it just ties back better for me. So those are my comments.
Well, I appreciate, oh, gosh, sorry. Appreciate those comments, Councillor Hodgins. And I will say, when we went through it, we had the same concern about it looking like the City of London logo. Yeah. Okay, any other discussion points? I will say I probably do like option 2 more than option 1. I do see it as, you know, a little bit more modern. And I guess 2024. I guess the question though about accessibility, have we thought about how that gets converted?
I can talk to the developer absolutely about that. But it's definitely either one of these is much better than the logo for accessibility. Our logo is very difficult to read. So both of these are quite clear in that way.
All right, any other discussion? There is a recommended motion, and it does have concept 2 as the recommended logo. So I would look to council for someone to make a motion. And which one? Councillor Regan?
I would just make the motion that we direct staff to amend or to accept concept two as the logo.
Councillor Regan, so that's the motion that's in front of the recommended motion in front of us. And I would need a seconder for that. Yep,
Just to clarify, that would be with the equaling, like
Yeah.
you're changing the font sizes and stuff.
Yes.
Then I would second that.
okay. Councillor Westman. Any further discussion? All in favor? Oh, sorry. Yeah, Councillor.
Madam Mayor, may I call for a recorded vote?
For planning matter.
Mhm. So point of clarification, the mayor calls the order of the vote.
Mhm.
So it is up to the mayor. Doesn't need to be by alphabet, doesn't need to be by, it's her choice, it's her prerogative. So Madam Mayor, over to you.
Okay. I better write everybody's name down. Okay. Pardon? I know, something goes wrong, that's right. Okay, so the motion on the floor is that report number EDC 07 dash 2024 be received for information, and further that council direct staff to amend concept 2 logo as recommended and provide a final proof at the next meeting. Okay, does that really direct us to accept council concept 2? The motion actually reads that it amends concept 2 logo as recommended, and that provides the final proof at the next meeting. That doesn't really, that motion actually doesn't actually say that that's the recommended logo. So. Clerk?
If I can make a further suggestion, so understanding that the request came from Councillor Hodgins. Would you rather do the recorded vote when the final version comes for approval? Or again, it's your choice, but I'm just saying, I'm tending to agree with the mayor here that this doesn't mean that you're approving the final one. You're still gonna see the final product.
But I feel like it's, it's putting it in motion to
Okay.
bring
Okay,
concept
again,
2. It
it's-
doesn't say
it's-
they won't bring concept 1 back, so I think this is maybe,
Okay.
But to the point, I would maybe say to them, the mover, do you want to amend this to be a little bit clearer on the recommendation?
Yes, absolutely. So I just think that the council directs that we accept concept 2 as the logo, and then we move forward. I would, that's what I would be, that's what I was gonna move. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sorry. So that staff to amend the concept number 2 logo as recommended and provide final proof at the next meeting. And that amendment was needed to change the point size of Lucan Biddulph.
Yeah.
Yes, so that would be my motion. Yes. So that's,
And that concept 2 is the recommended logo.
yes,
So where are we putting that? And how do we?
because it's just not worded correct. It's not worded, that's.
So again, we try and keep things simple here. So with the permission of the mover, which is Councillor Regan, and the permission of the seconder, we'll use the word refine the wording of the motion such that council is approving concept 2 with the final version in regards to the sizing of the lettering coming and being presented at the next meeting.
Agreed.
Is that okay?
Yes,
Just to be clear,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have that report number EDC -7-2024 be received for information, and further that council directs staff to approve concept 2 with the final version of the lettering size to be presented at the next meeting. I know directs, I know, I think it's that council approves concept 2. Yeah, council approves concept 2. And with the final version of the lettering size to be presented at the next meeting. Okay. And that was moved by Councillor Regan and seconded by Councillor Westman. Councillor Hodgin asked for a recorded vote. Deputy Mayor Manders.
I'll vote with Jade and vote that down.
Okay. Councillor Regan.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, yay.
Councillor Hodgins.
No. Nay.
Councillor Westman.
Yes.
And the mayor is yes. So that passed. Okay. Thank you very much. Lisa, did you have anything else verbal or anything? No? Okay. On to councillor comments. Councillor Westman.
Just a local community thing. On the 24th of November, the Lucan Scout Guide Hall will be holding their 40th anniversary since the building was constructed. It'll be between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. It's a Sunday afternoon. I'd like to invite everybody and anybody to come out and see what programs we're doing here in the community, what scouting and guiding is doing to shape our youth and provide useful life skills, but also the history of our scouting and guiding in Lucan Biddulph. So anybody who has been in their lifetime or had a child involved in scouting or guiding is invited to share photos and stories and whatever. If there's photos to be shared, they could reach out to myself or to Lisa Carter, and we'll get those photos printed and placed or on a slideshow. So it'd be a great thing. Now, there is a time capsule that was placed in the hall in the front entranceway that's been secretly sitting there for 40 years that we will be opening up and sharing with the public. So, and we've checked it first with our experience with the arena time capsule. We've checked it first to see its condition is good.
I hope it's more successful than the opening of the arenas.
We haven't really looked at what's in there, but we did see that everything was intact and it was dry and everything is good. So, but I think it'd be a great opportunity for people to come out and have a look around and see the hall and hear about what scouting and guiding has done in our community for the last 4 decades plus, because scouting and guiding has been involved in the Lucan Biddulph community for well over 60 years. And I wanted to say I'm very proud to see the bench placed in the park in dedication to former scouter Dave Pike as there, and my Cub pack has already enjoyed sitting on it while they're playing soccer. So it's pretty good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Westman. Councillor Regan.
Just wanted to remind everyone to attend, if they can, a Remembrance Day service on the 11th, wherever they happen to be, and perhaps if you're not at a service, maybe to acknowledge and give our veterans a moment of silence as well, just to remember. Thank you.
Those were my comments. So just a reminder that in Lucan Biddulph, there's 2 Remembrance Day services at 9:30 in Granton and at 10:30 in Lucan. Okay. And it will be live streamed on Facebook, right? So for anybody that can't make it to either one of those, the Lucan one will be live streamed. Okay. Any other councillor comments? Okay. And then We will go on. There's no changes to budget. Any notices of motion? Then we'll go into the motions, and it's just the bylaws, and we have three in front of us tonight. So the motion in front of us is that if no one cares to speak to bylaws 51-2024 through 53-2024 inclusive on their first, second, and third reading, that they be considered to have been read a first time and passed, read a second time and passed, and read a third time and passed. A mover and a seconder for that, please. Councillor Hodgins and Deputy Mayor Manders, all in favor? And that's carried. And resolve that the council meeting be adjourned at 8:50 PM. A mover and a seconder for that, please. Councillor Regan and Deputy Mayor Manders,